Hey there everybody, it is Friday, May 20th, and it is time for my sketchbook review. Okay, so both sketchbooks this week. I also did, let me grab my phone, a bit of a hair tutorial earlier this week by request, just this guy right here. So this is just kind of loose and laying around, and I figured I would show it and include it in this review. And I did have a couple people ask me what kind of sketchbook this was. The one that you can watercolor on both sides with, and the paper stays relatively flat. I mean, it warps a little bit, but it's going to. It's watercolor. But this is, for those of you who are curious, this is Strathmore 500 series mixed media paper. Couldn't tell you the poundage on it just because, you know, whatever, but it's pretty heavy duty paper, and that's how come it can hold multimedia so well. I do like it for what it is, so, you know, whatever. I enjoy it. But since I've already got it open, I'll go ahead and talk about this. So we got Cherry here, which was done with a compilation of the Sakura Koi watercolors, which is just this little travel kit here. Pocket sketch field guide. I actually keep meaning to make little squares to fit in here and actually go walk around and do some watercoloring just for practice and for funsies. So yeah, it's barely been touched, as you can tell. I'm not real big into watercolor, but I'm trying to kind of broaden my horizons. But it was the Koi watercolor, Pentel Pocket Brush Pen, the Color Erase color pencils, and I'm trying to think if there was anything. Oh yeah, I used a metallic pen for the jewelry to get the jewelry looking right. And I used some sparkly glitter gel pens for her nail polish. But this is Cherry, for those of you who don't know. So I just kind of figured I wanted to do a picture of her, and I did a cheap background, you know, my little water on water watercolor backgrounds, just with colors that I feel like represented her personality. And then this here is Clementine Nutmeg. I mean, that's not actually, there's going to be two versions of this character. This is just the one that I watercolored. I got her drawn out as a squirrel. Initially, she is going to be human, like that's her actual character design, but I'm doing this for reasons. I really just, I tend to shy away from blonde characters, I've noticed, because I personally am a brunette, and I understand how brunettes work, I guess. So I wanted to bring in another character who was just a little bit kind of dorky and a little bit kind of shy and reserved and everything, even though she really isn't. But I wanted to get more practice with watercolor on her, so I went ahead and I think I live streamed. Yeah, I live streamed this one. And I went ahead and did this, and I tried to do little clementine blossoms, but as it turns out, I'm not very good at watercoloring flowers. So I think I'm actually going to cut up little pictures or little canvases of that cheaper watercolor paper and practice flowers or something in my free time, just for funsies and for practices. Okay, so let's get on to this. This is where I started. Last week it ended with Adam's terrible face, but as you can see, this hasn't been holding up very well because I've been folding my paper over, and it's kind of torn the edging to the point where it just kind of comes off. But that's pretty typical for these sketchbooks, so it's nothing new to me. So first page here, we got Duck Piper with a butt. I think I live streamed this. We were talking about ducks or something, and I was like, oh, I'm going to draw a duck butt. Then I just kind of doodled this, and then I started thinking about Clementine, and I was like, oh, you know, she'd make a really cute little fluffy squirrel. So I drew Clementine as a little cute fluffy squirrel. She's actually super adorable, I think. Look at that face. Yes. And I drew her without her glasses, so of course she's going to have that cartoon factor of she takes her glasses off and then looks a million times better sort of thing. Not true to life, but it is what it is. I just wanted to draw her looking nice. And then I drew her. She's a cartoon who wants to draw cartoons, so that's interesting. Yeah. And then I drew her sort of nibbling on the end of her pencil because she's a squirrel. She's a nibbler. And then someone in live stream, it was great actually at PTA, is like, draw a cheese doing taxes. So I drew a wedge of cheese doing taxes because, yes. A little bit more Clementine. With Clementine in particular, I've changed the body type. I think I mentioned this before in the previous version of her, where I'm trying to change up my body types because I do tend to default to the tall, thin sort of body type, and I want to expand out on that because I feel like all body types are beautiful in their own way, and I really want to sort of just kind of get away from my atypical, oh, skinny girl sort of. There's nothing wrong with it, don't get, you know, because I already know it's like something, oh, she's prejudiced against skinny girls. Like, no, I used to be a skinny girl. I am not a skinny girl anymore, but I don't think I am unattractive either because I've put on so much weight. So it's like, okay, whatever, why can't my character? So Clementine, because actually Piper later on in her life, she does put on weight. She's a cutie though. But Clementine starts out kind of very hourglass shapey, but I've designed her to be a little bit more small on top and just kind of a big bottom girl. And I think that that is fitting for a squirrel. Like, her human self is going to be the same way, so it doesn't really matter. I just thought it was funny to make her a squirrel because squirrels tend to have very large bottoms because they have big legs and big fluffy tails. So it was just fun. I don't know. And I got her over here tripping, which was cute. It was a different, it like forced a perspective and like it pulled me out of my comfort zone as far as poses go. I was very happy. And then somebody was talking to me about how she's a squirrel, so she probably cheeks her food. And I was like, of course she cheeks her food. She's got 5 brothers. She's got to hurry up and get it in there or else someone's going to take it. So I drew a picture of her eating a sandwich and kind of cheeking her food a little bit. It was just, I don't know, really cute ideas that I was sitting there thinking about and having people send in my direction. We were in live stream again. This was mostly all live stream. I really haven't done that much sketching because I've been doing nothing but applying to jobs this week. I really hope I hear something soon, but I'm hearing, from what I'm understanding, it's going to be about 2 weeks before I hear back from the hospitals that I've been applying to. So 2 weeks to work on art. That's what it is. Anyway, so we were talking in live stream and we were talking about Scarlet Featherfan, who's like one of my duck characters, and Gray mentioned that he thought she was a vampire, and I was like, no, that's not new. She's not a vampire at all. Not at all. So I just kind of drew a snarky little thing of her thinking it's cute that he thinks she's a vampire. This was a roleplay doodle between Scarlet and Negaduck. They're watching a hologram of Milicia. I always say Alicia with an M, Milicia fighting Negaduck or whatever, I don't know. Negaduck's burnt to a crisp because Milicia kind of sizzled him. But then there's Scarlet over here, and she's very intrigued by Milicia. And if for those of you guys who don't know that, well, now you're gonna know. Scarlet and Milicia do have past history together that no longer exists, but it did exist, and there's the potential for it to happen again just because of their personalities. I did a picture of Amy, and everyone told me it didn't look like Amy, and I was like, okay, whatever. But it's Amy, and I made her decent by putting stars over her breasts, just for you guys. I did a picture of Jade. I need to kind of work on her gadgets. Like, I feel like she needs more gadgets. She needs stuff to help keep her to the wall, like suction cups. I seen them in Archer. The way that they had them in Archer was really, really, really nice. So I'm gonna actually reference back to that episode, I think, and I'm going to look at the design of how they had done it because it made so much sense. I was like, finally someone, because in the cartoons it's always like toilet plungers, and they just like have them on their hands and on like their feet, and I'm like, that wouldn't work. You don't have enough strength in your body to hold yourself up like that. Your hands, yes, it's possible, mountain climbers do it all the time, but you need something more substantial than just your toes, because your toes are like some of the, I mean, they take the most impact. I know because I'm a runner, so like they take a lot of impact and they injure very easily. Like I have those weird long finger toes, like everyone calls them my grippers, and they hurt after running like, you know, 4 miles. So I can only imagine how it would feel to have your entire body weight consistently, intensely on it. I think in Archer they had them on the knees. That just made more sense because your knees are designed, nature has designed your knees to take impact. Like, yes, you can shatter your patella. I'm not even going to lie about that. I've seen it happen. But your knees are designed for taking the impact of a fall. So crawling, things like that, climbing up something, it makes more sense to have the suctions at the knees as opposed to the feet. Just saying. End rant. OMG. I say the weirdest things in my thing. And I repeat myself. Alright, let's see. I was doing another Amy. I was just changing her perspective or something, but it turned to crap. The request was for Lydia and Cassie. And Cassie, poor Cassie. Look at her. She's trying so hard to be a good friend. Don't stare at my friend's boobs. Just saying for that too, is like, guys, that's not actually how it works either. Just saying. But these two are actually quite close, so it's really cute, the relationship that develops between those two. This right here, okay. I posted this on DeviantArt hoping like I would get a flood of people who are like, oh yeah, I know that pose, and nobody did. I was actually really sad. This pose in particular, for those of you who are unaware, was from, I don't remember what issue of Teen Titans, but it was Starfire and she was flipping her hair, and man did this pose blow up the internet because it was so flippin' impossible. And it was the source of argument. It's been the source of critique of bad anatomy in comics, blah, blah, blah. And it's true. It was terrible anatomy. It like was one of those impossible poses. And I totally dig it. And I understand both sides. It's like, okay, the guy was just trying to make a sexy pose. And yeah. And, you know, that whole kerfluffle about people, you know, in the industry or whatever, over stylizing the female figure, blah, 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 making it to where it's an impossible attainment. And part of me is like, you shouldn't be looking to comic book character figures as your attainment for having a buff physique. And I did not turn off my phone. Schmangelina, by the way, just uploaded a video. But anyway, so I was just kind of poking fun at it. So I took Piper and I took the pose that was the source of debate and I threw it in there. I actually expected a bigger response to it because I was being, you know, facetious. And like nobody responded. And I was like, oh, fail. But I kind of want to make that a project. I want to take Piper and find every single bad pose and just put her in it. And it's just because I think it's funny. It's for no other reason. I kind of feel like it should be a challenge. The bad, put your character in the bad anatomy pose, like the butt and boob pose that like is everywhere. But yeah, so that's what I did there. I was like, everyone will get a good laugh out of it. Nobody even batted an eye. Actually, when I put it on Facebook, my husband replied first with a picture of Ariel coming out of the water flipping her hair, because that's what he thought I was alluding to. I was like, yeah. I mean, I am so happy about his knowledge of Disney princesses and that he was able to pull that out of his head like that quickly, because I didn't even have it up there that long before he responded, and I was so proud of him. But then I was like, but that's not it, you're so close. So I did eventually put up the picture of the pose that I was referencing. And like my comic book friends got it, but no one else did. I was super sad. It's okay though. Anyway, so on to this, and then I was just trying to draw a sexy Amy and failed. This is the sketch for the video that I had done. I just scanned it and printed it, and lo and behold, I don't know what I changed about my ink, or if Kodak or Canon changed their ink or whatever it was, because when I initially printed, and I think it's because it came with like the cheap starter kit ink for the printer, when I printed and tried to Copic over it, it smeared to like hell and back. But I replaced the ink just recently because I needed to print out resumes, and it's not smearing. So when I printed it, like there was no smearing with the markers, and I was super, super, super happy about that. So it's gonna make doing pictures a little bit easier, because I've always wanted the ability to just straight up print my digital art and then color it like by hand. But I think what I'm going to do is probably do more blue lining on the computer and then printing and inking by hand because I just prefer it that way, but whatever. Anyway, so this was the picture that I used. Then I drew a sleepy Piper last night, and then I drew a cute picture of Jean and Piper. Look at them. He's taking such good care of her. In current roleplay right now, they just escaped the storm. So, yep. They got to Jean's place. Yay! This was okay, this came about because I was live streaming, I think yesterday. Yeah, it was some point yesterday. Someone finally asked, like, I was expecting it, but I didn't expect it so soon. Asked if I was still working on Piper's story, the one that I was developing on my own. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little bit heartbroken over the discontinuation of Harp and Stars. So I've kind of been shying away from Mouse, Piper, and Mice altogether just because, like, it's still kind of fresh to me. You know, the pain from that, because I put a lot of effort into Harp and Stars and now it's gone. But I got to thinking about it like super early this morning or late last night, however you want to figure it out, and I was like, you know, I had something good going, so I really didn't want to give it up just because, like, I'm a little bit disheartened at the moment, because we tend to do things in the moment that aren't good in the long run. People by nature just do that kind of crap. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna make myself do it. It hurts. It does hurt to draw. Look at that cute face, and to know that, you know, it's not gonna be with Lysraine ever again, it makes me very sad. So it is what it is, and I just went ahead and started back up. I actually need to, because as you can see, my anatomy as far as my mouse characters has kind of gone out the window because I've been drawing bunnies, but it won't take long for me to pull it back. I wanted to go ahead and get like some story building done up. I was kind of explaining about how mice are working in a quote-unquote cotton mill when really they're beneath the floorboards of a human cotton mill, and the little fibers of cotton that are being processed above are actually falling through those floorboards below. That's how come those places were like basically little kindling boxes, because there was so much of that crap flying around. It just went up in flame. But underneath the floorboards, the mice have their own little processing plant. So like they employ children to scoop up all the little cotton fibers and sort of pile it up for the adults, and the adults do the actual processing. And I was kind of explaining how in the world they use orphans or families that have a lot of kids will bring in their children to work in these mills, because obviously if you've got 16 kids, you know, 14 of them can be working while the babies are at home with mom or something like that. So that's kind of the idea. And then with the orphans, obviously they'd be earning their wages as orphans because they were not nice to them as children back then. They use them basically as slave labor. And in this sense, yes, it's the same, but I've got it set up to where Philip in particular is not that kind of guy. He came from a very similar background where he had to work as a child, so he actually has a very soft spot for children and makes sure that they're well taken care of. He doesn't care so much for the adults, because adults can take care of themselves, but he in particular does make sure that the children are well taken care of. And that's why he has Allison, because Allison is sort of like the representative for the younger employees in the world and things like that. That's how come she takes Piper in. That's how come she takes Cherry in, because there's no one else to look after them. And while technically they're adults, technically they're still not. So it is what it is. And I pulled myself back out to just kind of do something funny before I went to bed. I was just going to be drawing a picture of, this is Agatha, and she's one of the characters who's coming to Cloverdale at some point. She's an albino mistress. No, not mistress, but she's a very pretty, very sexual, well, I don't want to even say sexual. She's just a very nice girl who's very manipulative, if you want to call it that. And she knows she looks good, so she's just kind of got that personality. She's very egotistical, but she's coming into the world to kind of be a rival for Piper, because obviously she's very good looking and she's going to get Jean's attention multiple times. She's going to get everyone's attention multiple times, I'm sure. But overall, I guess she's just actually really nice. But I was just kind of messing around. I was like, what would she be doing to get Jean's attention? And I was like, okay, so she's albino, so, you know, maybe she enjoys the sun, but I was like, no, albinos really can't go in the sun. Like, they don't have melanin in their skin, so it literally just burns up. But I was like, whatever, who cares? So I went ahead and I just kind of doodled this, her just kind of walking around with her top pulled down so her shoulders and stuff can get her chest, whatever, can get some sunlight. Obviously she's just doing it to get Jean's attention. That's the whole point. But Piper's like, no, don't you dare look, and poor Jean, he's over there being good. I just thought it was funny. I don't know. My sense of humor is different. I do like putting my characters through these questionable instances where they not only question their self-worth, but they question pretty much everything about themselves. Piper overall has absolutely no reason to be insecure. She's an attractive girl. She's a smart girl. She's well liked within the community. She's actually useful within the community. But she's going to feel less than whatever compared to Agatha, just because Agatha is just literally so exotic and pretty that you can't compete with it. But really, she has absolutely no reason to feel insecure, but she totally will, because that's life. You're always going to feel inferior to somebody else. But the fact of the matter is we are all flippin' awesome, and we should just accept it. Terry's words of the day. Alright, and that's it for this sketchbook review. I I'm probably going to get back to more of this sort of thing. Just because I need to keep my mind working, and I need to work on something, and I just, I miss it. And I still actually owe a couple people some mouse characters, so I probably will work on that for next week's sketchbook review. But if you guys liked what you saw, feel free to like, subscribe, comment below. I'm trying to think. I don't have anything coming anytime soon, and that makes me sad because I like getting things in the mail, but I don't have anything coming anytime soon. There was a sketchbook I was going to try to go get because I like the look of it, and I kind of like the idea of a larger soft cover sketchbook, but unfortunately no place around here sells it, and I don't want to order it because the shipping alone makes it not worth the cost. Because I just bought something for somebody else, and it's like, Listen to me whine. I do something nice for people and then I whine. Oh my god, I should just be happy with what I've got. Look at chipmunk. Wait, no, squirrel. Squirrel. Alright, anyway, so that's it for this week. I hope you guys have an excellent week. Everybody should keep drawing and keep creating and have lots of fun when you do it. I'll see you guys in next week's sketchbook review.